Drive near the southern point. You'll see this area on the map to my right, which also outlines the original Fort Worth PSN area as well as other PSN areas around the district in Dallas, Amarillo, and Lubbock. The newly expanded Fort Worth PSN zone is an area plagued with violence, gangs, drugs, and firearms offenses. Going forward as a collaborative effort, our mission is to remove violent criminals from these streets and restore safety to our homes and businesses. That is the mission and that is the objective of the Project Safe Neighborhoods program. It's a 20-year-old initiative of the Department of Justice to reduce violent crime. It's existed since 2001 across multiple administrations. Ultimately, it marshals together federal, state, and local law enforcement officials, prosecutors, both at the federal and state level, and community leaders to address the unique criminal issues occurring in a particular neighborhood or area. PSN locations are driven by examining violent crime data from local police departments as well as intelligence from those who live there and work there. Determining the areas that desperately need the collaborative efforts of my office, as well as these men and women up here with me today, is just the first step of our PSN strategy. The next step in our strategy to achieve safer streets in the PSN area involves joint law enforcement operations. Some of these operations take down large networks of organized criminals distributing fentanyl, methamphetamine, or illegal firearms. Others focus on the individual violent offenders whose extensive criminal histories often earn them lengthy prison sentences when prosecuted at the federal level. I'd like to highlight two examples of recent successes due to the exceptional work of our law enforcement partners in the Fort Worth PSN program. The first case involves two defendants, Eduardo Valdez and Jose Antonio Torres, who were investigated by ATF, DEA, and the Fort Worth Police Department and prosecuted by my office for selling machine gun conversion devices, often called Glock switches. Ultimately, that investigation led to lengthy prison sentences, 94 months for both of them combined. This case highlights the rising prevalence of these dangerous illegal weapons, many that can easily be converted to automatic weapons, effectively machine guns. Year to date, operations in the Fort Worth PSN area resulted in the seizure of 84 machine gun conversion devices. We are continually going to focus on these types of cases. Another case that illustrates tremendous teamwork of our PSN law enforcement partners involves a 130-month sentence in federal prison against a multi-convicted felon named Kendrick Damon Collins. Collins was well known to the Fort Worth Police Department and our sheriff's office. He was a Hollywood Crip member and a supervisor of a narcotics trafficking organization in Fort Worth. He had multiple state convictions related to drug-type offenses. My office prosecuted him 10 years ago for illegally possessing a firearm, and he got out on release after his prison sentence and then reoffended while on supervised release. He was then incarcerated for a couple more years. He eventually got back out, and last May, Fort Worth, the law enforcement partners up here, caught him with a Glock in his car, along with ammunition, marijuana, and items that were indicative of drug trafficking, $3,000 in cash, a scale, plastic baggies, and things of that nature. He pled guilty and was sentenced to nearly 11 years in federal prison just 2 months ago. HSI, ATF, and the Fort Worth Police Department worked together on this PSN investigation with my office to put this violent offender back behind bars. I mentioned some agency partners that handle these two PSN investigations, but the men and women up here contribute daily to these efforts. That includes FBI, U.S. Postal Inspection Service, the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Tarrant County Criminal District Attorney's Office, and HIDA, as well as many other federal, state, and local partners. This significant, effective law enforcement teamwork I have described is really representative and indicative of the collaboration that will continue when all eyes are on North Texas with the World Cup. I want to extend my appreciation to our partners for these past successes of taking drugs, guns, and gangs off the streets from the Fort Worth area in our PSN zone. And I know that we will have future accomplishments of this kind to come. There is a third component of the PSN strategy, and that is community engagement. We want to encourage residents to speak up, know who to call, and feel comfortable even serving as a witness if called upon in a federal or state prosecution of the crimes that they in fact witnessed or reported. To accomplish this, we take a variety of measures. We regularly meet with community leaders and residents to discuss concerns and provide a forum for community members to talk with officers and agents who investigate crimes in these neighborhoods. We hold monthly reentry meetings for more than 180 parolees and probationers in the Fort Worth area with ATF, Fort Worth Police Department, Arlington Police Department, the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office, and personnel in my office with the goal of hopefully eradicating violent crime and deterring future offenses. We also link these individuals, these parolees, with community services and outreach groups. We coordinate with local public improvement districts to hold fun family events, such as holiday festivals with food, music, and fun activities for the kids, where parents and children can interact positively with the men and women in blue, as well as folks from my office and the DA's office. Today we have a table set up in the back there to the left with resources we typically bring to these events and hand out. You're welcome to take copies or make photographs of that. We also provide, and this is something I'm very proud of, support and resources to our crime victims. My office employs victim specialists to assist victims through the very tough process that is the criminal process when they're a victim. They accompany them to court, they explain the process, they notify them of the specific court events, and they assist them in restitution efforts and also help connect them with counseling service or mental health providers where necessary. Obtaining intel and information from those who live and work in the Fort Worth PSN areas regarding illegal activity is critical to our joint efforts. I encourage our community members to please call these men and women up here. Get to know them at your public events and in your neighborhoods. In closing, I extend my sincere appreciation to our law enforcement partners in this PSN mission. Their diligent work and heroic efforts build the exact foundation of our successful prosecutions and our efforts to reduce violent crime. We will make Fort Worth and the Northern District of Texas safer and stronger together. And with that, I thank you, and I'm going to hand it off to Joseph Tucker, the Special Agent in charge of DEA Dallas.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here today, stand shoulder to shoulder with these other law enforcement leaders in the Fort Worth area, because when we work together and we collaborate, we make our communities safer and we empower them. And the DEA Dallas, and in particular, our Fort Worth District Office, fully supports this initiative, and we're going to make sure that we hold accountable those who threaten our communities with the help of these other law enforcement agencies and the United States Attorney's Office. When you look at drug trafficking, it's inevitably linked to violent crime. From the extreme violence of transnational criminal organizations to street-level dealers, you see it all throughout any kind of drug crime. And we are committed to working with these agencies and these partners to reduce that in this community. DEA remains at the forefront of the fight to dismantle these trafficking networks and to stop this epidemic. One clear example is DEA's campaign for Fentanyl-Free America, which focuses on protecting our communities through enforcement, preventing the spread of fentanyl and the use of it through community outreach, through education, public awareness, and strategic partnerships such as these that we have today. And when I talk about partnerships, I want to highlight one partnership in particular that DEA is focused on to renewing and to making Fort Worth stronger, and that's our partnership with the Fort Worth Police Department. We recently added additional members of the Fort Worth Police Department to DEA's office here in Fort Worth, and through that partnership, we are going to work together to help this community. It shows our dedication to protecting communities and to building safer neighborhoods. The DEA will continue to bring all of its resources to bear in this vital mission, and along with our state, local, and federal partners, we're going to work to make neighborhoods safer for our kids, for our families, and for all the people that live in the Fort Worth community. I thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn it over now to Special Agent in Charge Joe Rothrock of the FBI. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joe Rothrock, Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Dallas Field Office. I'm proud to stand here today alongside my law enforcement partners and our U.S. Attorney, Ryan Raybould. I want to highlight how the FBI leverages the Project Safe Neighborhoods program to identify and combat violent crime in our community. Through the Longhorn Violent Crime Task Force and the Safe Streets Task Force, the FBI is focusing on serious public safety threats in Fort Worth, including violent crime and drug trafficking tied to violent gangs, aggravated assaults and robberies, and illegal firearms activity. The purpose of the PSN is to develop partnerships among state, federal, and local law enforcement, as well as key community leaders, with a goal of reducing violent crime and increasing community safety. We leverage these partnerships to share intelligence, identify, and target the most prolific, violent, and dangerous offenders. The FBI Dallas is proud to participate in the PSN programs here in Fort Worth, Dallas, Amarillo, and Lubbock. I want to recognize and thank all of our law enforcement partners, as well as our community partners who participate in the Project Safe Neighborhoods program. We all share a role in fighting violent crime. When we stand together, law enforcement, community leaders, and residents, we make our communities safer. If you have any information about violent crime, please contact your local law enforcement agency or the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. And with that, I'll turn it over to U.S. Postal Inspection Service Inspector in Charge, Kai Pickens.
Good morning. My name is Kai Pickens. I'm the U.S. Postal Inspector in charge of our Fort Worth Division, and I'm honored to represent the Postal Inspection Service here today. We're the law enforcement and security arm of the Postal Service, and our mission is to protect our employees, our customers, and the U.S. mail. And today's announcement, it highlights the strength of Project Safe Neighborhood. Violent crime in our communities is best addressed by federal, state, and local partners working together on a shared strategy. And in Fort Worth, you can see here today that the collaboration is real. And the Postal Inspection Service plays an important role in the effort to keep communities safe. So when the Postal Service becomes an unwitting courier for illegal drugs or firearms, postal inspectors are there to investigate. And when criminals use weapons to attack or rob our carriers, inspectors are there investigating as well. And we work side by side with our law enforcement partners in the PSN to identify perpetrators, investigate crimes, and bring offenders to justice. So the PSN isn't just an enforcement effort, as you've heard here. It's about the prevention of violent crimes and strengthening our partnership in law enforcement and amongst the communities that we serve. When we work together, we make our neighborhoods safer for all, and the Inspection Service is proud to stand here with our partners today in Fort Worth as we continue working to protect our communities and uphold the safety and trust that the American public deserves. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Bill Wayborn, Tarrant County Sheriff.
First of all, I want to thank the media for being here to send this message to the community on what's happening. What you're witnessing is what is normal in North Texas. We collaborate all the time. This A-team that you're seeing in front of you is the greatest collaborating agencies in the United States. We will do more than any other task force in the nation, and we will bring bad guys to custody. And, but the good citizens of Fort Worth, your neighborhood is just about to be safer because of this collaboration. And to the chucklehead outlaws that may catch this, the light will be left on at the end. And we will go and we will support, and this will be a safer community because of what's happening today. And again, the incredible collaboration of agencies. You will not find this anywhere else in the nation because of the leadership that stands behind me. We stand shoulder to shoulder, and we get the mission done. Thank you all again for being here. And up next, I think, is questions. Questions are up. So there you go. No, that's all right. Thank you all. The light will be on at the end.
Does anyone have any questions? Remember, just state your name and who you're with, if you wouldn't mind. Yes.
Jefferson, television. For the people in the community and with the extension of this PSC, what should they be doing right now, the ones who are committing these crimes and making the neighborhoods unsafe? When they see this, how should they be responding?
Stop. We want them to stop. We want the little girl who lives in the home to be able to walk down the streets without fear. We want them to stop, but we will hold them accountable, as the sheriff said, for what they did to our community. But we want this to stop, and that's the purpose here, is to stop violent crime. Fort Worth is a city on the rise. It's a city where people are moving to every day, 11th largest city in the United States. It's a city on the rise, and we want to stop violent crime. So the message to the criminals out there is stop, and we will hold you accountable for what you did to our community.
What are some of the things residents are going to see visually to see that this task force is out working?
Well, I'm going to dovetail on what the sheriff said. We work every day together, and so I don't think they'll visibly see any difference. Really the purpose here is to continue what we're doing in a focused area that's driven on data. So a lot of it will happen on the back end, where we get in these meetings and we talk about the problems. And so our goal is that people will continue their lives as normal. If they see something, they should say something. And we have ways for people to make tips anonymously to protect their identities. We do that every day. When neighbors are reporting on other neighbors, there's ways to mask identity. So our goal is that their lives continue, but ultimately it gets better for these communities, because violent crime, our goal is to reduce it and ultimately eradicate it.
When you have cases like Mr. Collins, who is in and out, is that frustrating for you, Don?
Of course it's frustrating for us, but in the federal system, I'll turn it over to the DA here in a minute to talk about the state system. In the federal system, there's a guidelines range for a specific offense where you can actually sentence someone to prison, and that's really the province of the judge to decide. And so we are constricted by the statutory maximum on the crimes that we charge, as well as, generally speaking, federal judges sentence within the heartland of the sentencing guidelines. And so, of course, it's frustrating, but it doesn't mean we're going to stop. And if that person continues to commit offenses, their prison sentence will continue to go up and up. Would you like to say something?
Well, sure. It's kind of the same thing that Ryan just said, that in the state system, it's frustrating. We're going to give people opportunities at times on their sentences, and we hope that they learn their lesson from the punishment that they get. But oftentimes, unfortunately, it's not the case, and they come back out and they reoffend, and we're there waiting for them if they do that, and we're going to prosecute them again. As Ryan said, the punishment ratchets up each time, and eventually it should be maxed out to where we won't have to see them again.
Any other questions?
Is there any other expansion you can talk about, preparations for FIFA?
I'm going to turn it over to, if you feel comfortable, Joe, addressing that. This is the A-team, and we're going to get that done, but this man's really been leading that charge.
So I think, as everybody knows by now, obviously Northern Texas is going to play host to the World Cup in just a few months here. And so while we're just a few months out from matches starting here, we are years into planning. And when I say we, I mean that truly as a regional effort. And so while matches will be played in Arlington, there'll be Fan Fest in the city of Dallas. We'll have base camps that have been announced in a couple other cities in the region. It's really a regional response in that preparation across federal law enforcement, state, and local law enforcement as well. And so we are well positioned to